Erdogan is heading to the Palace of Independence located in the heart of Astana. The Turkish president arrived yesterday, and the program of this state visit is expected to be extensive and highly substantive. Apart from the talks with his Kazakh counterpart, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, President Erdogan is also set to take part in the meeting of the Kazakhstan-Turkey High-Level Strategic Cooperation Council. And tomorrow, both presidents will travel to Turkestan, where they will be joined by other leaders for the informal summit of the Organization of Turkic States, underscoring the shared commitment to further strengthening Turkic integration. The main discussions are expected to focus on artificial intelligence and digital development. Right now, we can see the car of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan approaching the Palace of Independence. The president of Turkey will enter the building, and there he will be personally welcomed by the head of our state, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. In this building, the presidents are expected to hold the sixth meeting of the Kazakhstan-Turkey High-Level Strategic Cooperation Council. Right now, we can see the handshake. President Tokayev is greeting President Erdogan outside of the building. Usually we can see that presidents first proceed inside and then they are greeted there. But here, this is a different situation. Right now, we can see the Air Force greeting President Erdogan with Air Forces flying and coloring the sky with the colors of the Turkish flag. The heads of state are expected to also discuss the current state and future prospects of bilateral relations between Kazakhstan and Turkey. Earlier, Turkish media reported that Recep Tayyip Erdogan arrived for this state visit accompanied by a large and high-level delegation. It includes several ministers, senior members of the presidential administration, as well as advisors, and of course, the First Lady, Emin Erdogan. Well, Turkey remains one of Kazakhstan's key strategic and economic partners, with strong and steadily expanding trade and investment ties. Last year, Turkey ranked among Kazakhstan's top 5 trading partners. Bilateral trade reached $5.4 billion, which is up almost 9% year on year. And the positive momentum continued in 2026. In the first quarter alone, mutual trade grew by nearly 39%, reaching $1.7 billion already. And investment cooperation is also showing steady growth. Turkey has invested around $6 billion in Kazakhstan's economy, which made them rank among the country's top 15 foreign investors. And Kazakhstan, in turn, has also showed great investment, which equaled $2.2 billion of investments in Turkey's economy. So, in the Palace of Independence, President Tokayev and President Erdogan are expected to take part in the Kazakhstan-Turkey High-Level Strategic Cooperation Council, as we mentioned earlier. Right now, we can see the flags of Kazakhstan and Turkey appearing in the sky. Our countries are now the greeting ceremony begins. Right now, the presidents are being introduced to the members of delegation, which, as I've mentioned earlier, is quite substantive on the Turkish part. Handshakes are happening right now. And then the presidents will proceed to the center of the podium, and the orchestra will be playing the national anthems of Kazakhstan and Turkey.
алдан қарсы алу үшін қарау! Президент мырзы, Қазақстан Республикасының құрметті қарауылы, сіздің Қазақстан Республикасының тәуелсіздік сарайына келуіңіз құрметіне салтанатты сапқа тұрғызылды. Құрметті қарауыл басшысы подполковник Қайрат Бекзатұлы.
So now the official greeting ceremony is coming to an end, which means that President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev and President Recep Tayyip Erdogan are going to proceed to have talks, most likely in the narrow format first, and then they are going to take part in the Kazakhstan-Turkey high-level strategic cooperation council. And before we go any further, I would like to again point out the numbers, which are definitely going to be very important for further context. Turkey remains one of Kazakhstan's key strategic and economic partners with strong and steady expanding trade and investment ties. Last year, Turkey ranked among Kazakhstan's top 5 trading partners. Bilateral trade reached $5.4 billion, which is up 8.8% year on year. The positive momentum again continues in 2026 because in the first quarter alone, mutual trade grew by nearly 39%, reaching $1.7 billion. Investment cooperation is also showing steady growth. Turkey has invested around $6 billion in Kazakhstan's economy, ranking among the country's top 15 foreign investors. Kazakhstan, in turn, has invested $2.2 billion in Turkey's economy. And to dig deeper and discuss the ongoing level of cooperation between our countries, as well as the possible perspective, I am joined in the studio by Dr. Dinmuhammad Ahmedbek, expert of the Turkic Academy. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, Turkey is obviously expanding its presence in Central Asia, both economically and politically. And at the same time, Kazakhstan remains the region's largest economy and the largest transit hub. So, how would you describe the evolving balance between Astana and Ankara today? Is it still a relationship between like an investor and the market, or are we already seeing a genuine strategic alliance based on the shared long-term interests?
Well, first of all, I would like to question the way you are putting the question, describing one side as an investor, other side as a partner. So this sounds like a Eurocentric, Orientalistic perspective. When you put this question in this way, you say that one side is a superior as an actor, active actor of international politics. The other side is a geopolitical and geoeconomic object.
Well, this is what I wanted you to clarify, because this is how the nature of our relationship is currently being evolved. So, in which direction do you think it's going now?
As a scholars of international politics, when we analyze bilateral relations of any country, we say that they are equal partners, equal actors of international politics, which they have their own agenda, and the agency is important here. So from this perspective, I would say that Kazakhstan and Turkey are strategic partners. By the way, they define their relations as a strategic partnership, and even they elevated the partnership into to the comprehensive strategic partnership. And now we are observing close relations in all directions. Moreover, from Kazakhstan's perspective, the issue of investment is important. It became one of the key points of our foreign policy understanding. So there are triple coordination system within country. We can say three-sided coordination system, where one side is a diplomatic mission abroad, which tries to start the negotiation. The second part is central government, and the third part is local governments in Kazakhstan. So, by the way, I had an experience working for the embassy of Kazakhstan in Turkey, and I witnessed how this process worked. So, for Kazakhstan, Turkey is important as an investor. So, but it doesn't mean that Turkey is important. It's just investing, and we are just a market. We can say that both sides equally depend on each other. For Kazakhstan, Turkey is an important partner. Kazakhstan sees it as an access to international waters, and Turkey views Kazakhstan as a gateway or window to the
Sure.
Asian market. So if we analyze within the Turkic world, the Kazakhstan represents the eastern gateway, and the Turkey the window to the Europe and the Mediterranean.
Well, the interest, the equal interest
Yes.
is obvious
Yeah.
because of simply because of the high-level contacts that we've been seeing for the past just in the past few years, I would say.
Not only, I mean, the decision making, of course, is important,
Obviously.
but also our structure, both the geographical location and economic structure, pushes these two countries to cooperate. And in this regard, this organization of Turkic states is also important.
Well, as I've mentioned earlier, Turkey is among Kazakhstan's top 5 trading partners, and we cooperate on various spheres. But which areas do you think still remain underestimated? And where could the next major breakthrough come from? Whether it's, I don't know, industry, energy, technology, artificial intelligence, maybe?
Yeah. Well, the figures of investment and trade is impressive, but the new area of interaction, I think this defense industry is important, because Turkey reached remarkable achievements in this area. Its drones, military, electronic, military manufacturing, and so on. And Kazakhstan is trying to modernize its defense industry. And traditionally, because of the Soviet legacy, we have very close relations with Russia. We are members of Collective Security Treaty Organization. So because of this structure, we share common equipments and technologies. But our multi-vector foreign policy needs it to diversify our defense industry. So in this regard, Turkey is important. And Turkey, as a producer of military equipments, the defense industry is very important now. And we observed it both in Azerbaijan-Armenian war and in Ukraine and Iran. So how drones are important. So in addition, Turkey is a member of NATO. So in diversifying our defense industry, Turkey can be one of the important partners.
Well, tomorrow, as we all know, there's going to be an informal summit of the Organization of the Turkic States, and the main topic is going to be artificial intelligence. Where do you see our cooperation going in that sphere? Are we going to see some major joint projects maybe, or how do you see this cooperation going in this direction?
Yeah, in fact, we are living in a very interesting era, because AI is presenting new opportunities. To be frank, Kazakhstan also, although it is a new country, because we are the continuation of Turkic civilization, which lost its position in the world. So now we have new opportunity. This is artificial intelligence. So if we start cooperating among Turkic states in this area, I think we can reach some successes. And it is not coincident that the summit in Turkestan titled Artificial Intelligence and Digitalization.
Well, also Kazakhstan and Turkey often emphasize their relations. They define our relations as brotherly. We have a lot of cultural similarities. In today's geopolitical reality, and how do you think this humanitarian closeness can translate into, let's say, political and economic influence? Could we use this like as a soft power?
Well, in international relations, there are three schools of theory. One is realism, which says that power is important, military alliance is important. The second is liberalism, which says that economic interdependence is important. And the third is constructivism, which says cultural relations, identity is important. In fact, many countries, many entities like NATO or European Union, they build their relations in military or in economy in order to build common identity. But here within Turkic world, we have different situation. We have common identity, and which is transforming to economic cooperation and maybe to military alliance one day. So in this regard, we have certain advantages, especially analyzing from Kazakhstan's perspective. Kazakhstan, one of the central countries here, and it has 2-3 advantages. One is Kazakhstan geographically is located in the steppes, great steppes we call it, Uludağlar in Kazakh. So this great steppe, which which was called Dişli Kıpçak, is the cradle of Turkic nomadic civilization. So that's why the Turks in other parts of the world, especially Anatolian Turks, consider Kazakhstan as their homeland, as their fatherland. So it strengthens Kazakhstan's position. The second advantage is the tomb of Ahmed Yesevi is located in Turkestan, and Turkestan is within the border of Kazakhstan. So Turkestan is a spiritual capital of Turkic world. So it's
that's
again,
why it's very symbolic that summit is happening.
So on the other hand, I think generally Kazakh foreign policy vector toward Turkic world is important in terms of national identity and decolonization process. So when we have close relations with Turkey, with Azerbaijan, with Uzbekistan, we accelerate the process of decolonization. We strengthen our national identity. So in this context, I think I should say a few words about Turkic Academy, where I work. Turkic Academy is the only organization of Turkic cooperation, which is located in the eastern part of Caspian Sea. You know, there are several such organizations under the umbrella of Organization Turkic State. It is Turksoy, which deals with cultural relations, Turkpa, which deals with parliamentary relations, Turkey Investment Fund, but they are all located in the western part of Caspian Sea. So Turkic Academy here, I think, plays an important role, especially in strengthening relation in the areas of science and education.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for the insightful comments. Good luck. We were joined by Dr. Din Mohamed Ahmedbek, expert of the Turkic Academy. So further on the development of the state visit of Recep Tayyip Erdogan to Kazakhstan, we will tell you more on New Time program on Saturday at 1 a.m. Follow our social media networks and watch Silkway TV channel.